Queen's procession, accompanied, as I said, by the Sovereign's escort. The national anthem played by the band of the Coldstream Guards, directed today by Lieutenant Colonel Graham Jones, as the Irish state coach makes its way towards the Victoria Tower. This coach, one of the real treasures of the Royal Mews, made in 1911. Copy of the original, made in 1851. And it's been completely restored in the past 20 years. When the Queen arrives inside the Palace of Westminster, the entire world will know about it because the Royal Standard will be released on top of the Victoria Tower and the Union flag, the Union Jack, will be lowered. Royal Standard signalling the Queen's presence. The heralds make their way into the Royal Gallery. The two great maces, the Lord Privy Seal, Sir George Young, the Lord Chancellor, Kenneth Clarke, and here we have the Duke of Norfolk, the Earl Marshal on the left, the Marquis of Cholmondeley, the Lord Great Chamberlain, with his white wand, symbol of his authority in the Palace of Westminster. As the Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh turn right and make their way into that robing room, where they'll stay for just a few minutes before the procession begins. The heralds make their way through the Royal Gallery. The new Garter Principal King of Arms is Thomas Woodcock, who was in place in April this year. And among them too, Hubert Cheshire, Clarenceux King of Arms, who retires next month after 40 years of service. We'll be back in the Royal Gallery in just a few minutes' time when the state trumpeters will announce that that procession is about to get underway. The scene there for us is that they're just getting ready. There's the police inspector on the left, who's ready to give the instruction for strangers to remove their hats. Just a few last-minute arrangements there. I'm just giving you a sense of some of the preparations here for the next stage of the ceremony, but clearly they're getting ready, and it's not going to be long now before Mr. Speaker John Bercow makes his way with the train bearer, with the Speaker's chaplain, into the House of Commons, ready for prayers there. There's a long corridor leading up from the Speaker's apartment, the Speaker's office, which is at one end of the Palace of Westminster, and leads up here to the central lobby and then around, loops around into the House of Commons. So I think we should just wait now, because it'll just be a matter of seconds, I think. Sergeant-at-Arms Jill Pay carries the mace, leads Mr. Speaker Burko, with Ian Davis, the train bearer, and the Speaker's chaplain, Robert Wright, who will be leading prayers inside the House of Commons in just a few minutes' time. That won't take long, and then they'll wait to be summoned to hear the Queen's speech in the House of Lords. It's always an impressive sight. Everything stops for the Speaker's procession, and this happens every day the House is in session. Through the members' lobby of the House of Commons, lots of smiles, lots of nods, and past the statues of Churchill and Lloyd George and into the chamber itself. There we can see the Lib Dem front bench, including Alan Beath and Sarah Tether, and lots of the familiar Lib Dem faces. Simon Hughes too, I can see, in a dazzling green tie. Sir Mingus Campbell. And on the government front bench, William Hague and George Osborne and David Cameron and Nick Clegg. So the mace is in place, and it means that the House can begin its prayers. That'll just take just a few minutes, as I said, and after that they'll be summoned up to the House of Lords. We'll be straight back to the House of Commons when that happens. But Nick, it's always an impressive sight, isn't it?
Oh, it's extraordinary. And those MPs go because it's part of the ceremony for them. They want to watch it. They want to see it, to remember the history, to feel part of the day. There are many guests who are invited to this occasion, and there's a real kind of buzz about State Parliament and the opening of Parliament on a day like this.
The Lord Great Chamberlain is signalling that we're about to begin. He joins the Earl Marshal. The procession in state has begun. Lord High Chancellor Kenneth Clarke with the purse containing the Queen's speech, followed by the Duke of Norfolk, the Marquis of Cholmondeley, Lord Strathclyde with the cap of maintenance, and General Walker with the sword of state, and the Queen. Accompanied by the Duke of Edinburgh, ready to present a programme of legislation to David Cameron's government, David Cameron being the 12th Prime Minister of the Queen's reign. Everything ready in the House of Lords for the Queen's arrival. The entire chamber rises, acknowledges the Queen's arrival. The Queen and the Duke will take their places on the pair of thrones. And when Her Majesty is ready, she will signal to the Marquis of Cholmondeley that the state opening can begin.
My lords, pray be seated.
Signal is given. That signal relayed all the way down the corridor to the central lobby. And this is the task normally performed by Black Rod, But Sir Freddie Viggers, unfortunately, is unwell and can't take part in the ceremony. So the yeoman usher, Lieutenant Colonel Edward Lloyd Jukes, is taking his place today. And it's his duty to summon the House of Commons to the House of Lords. And in a symbol of the House of Commons' authority, the doors will be slammed in his face.
Close the door.